You guys in the graduation. Yeah, you got it. Sorry about your loss, man. Oh, you all right? Did you recognize him? No.
morning, everyone. My name is Jenny, and I will be conducting the service today. Just a few little housekeeping issues. We're all very aware of COVID, very aware, and I'd just like you to keep to the COVID rules as much as you can, and we don't want anyone getting sick that doesn't need to get sick. My staff today are Mark and Ken. If anyone requires any personal assistance during the service, just give them a void. My son Rod sent his apology. He normally would be here working with us, but he injured his shoulder, so he thought he'd be better at home today. On behalf of the family, I wish to thank Reverend Ian for allowing us to hold this service in the Uniting Church, and also for assisting us with the technology. If anyone requires toilet facilities, they're out through the door and turn to your right. What else have we got? And would you please turn off your mobiles? Or turn them right down. And following the service, you are all invited to share in hospitality at the Cowes Baptist Church. And that's on Settlement Road in Cowes here. And if any of you don't know the way, I can give you directions after the service. And Francine has also asked me if anybody wishes to make a donation to Joe's favourite charity, that can be done through Francine direct, and she will have it forwarded to the people in Sri Lanka via Western Union. They found that a safe and secure way to forward donations previously. And now Ian has got some music for us before we get into the service.
Oh,
I said previously, welcome to St John's Church today on what is a day of, I think it's a day of contrasts in some ways, because we are all so sad that Joseph's death has occurred, but also at some degree it's a level of happiness. We can all be happy that we've known Joe, but also that he is no longer suffering, and that you all have a chance to join together today and share your memories. And I can imagine, as well as some tears today, there's going to be quite a bit of laughter later. Now, I didn't know Joe. I'd never met Joe. But after talking on the first occasion with Nicholas and Francine, I started to get a pretty good picture. And then Francine allowed me to read the eulogy that she had. And I just felt that I really did know Joe. And what a great bloke he was. But so who was Joe? He was the son of Antonio and Carmela. He was a brother. I'm not sure how many were in the family, but I know Connie and Rizza are here today. He was a beloved and adored husband of Francine and sons Anthony, Nicholas and Justin. And of course he was an adoring grandfather. And he was a cousin to quite a few. He was an uncle. So he was part of a great extended family. And we all know how extended Italian families can be. It's like a whole clan. But Joe was a fun-loving man. He was generous, he was kind, and he brought as much pleasure also to the many people outside the close family with his work as a florist, but also to see the wonderful photos that he included in the book about China that Francine had written. And he was one very talented man, and with those talents he was able to share so much pleasure with everyone. Sadly, Joe's death was sudden and unexpected following a severe stroke. Nothing we think, say or do can change what has happened. But each one of you can consider yourself blessed that you knew Joe and shared his life. A life that he lived to the fullest. When I hear of some of the adventures that those two lovebirds had, you couldn't help but smile and appreciate the love they shared. But no doubt you will focus very much on sadness today. And I think that's because you think about what you've lost, and you do focus on that very strongly. But I'd like to say, don't be too sad, because don't think about what you've lost all the time. Think about what you've had and how you were able to share the life of that lovely man. And he, Joe was a man that, I think he was very courageous, and he was, he suffered a lot with pain, and particularly for those 20 years following that tragic accident when he was only 28, I think, from memory. And how he overcame that pain with his courage and his determination. It wasn't going to let him stop doing anything, and he got on and he did it. and they did things together. And, you know, I look at these lovely bonsais, I look at the beautiful floral decoration, or floral tribute that Francine made so lovingly, and just to see the colour. And I don't normally do it, but I had to take a photo. It was lovely. As I say, his problems after the accident didn't stop him, and I think that's something to be greatly admired. Now, we're going to have, that's probably enough for me. We're going to have Francine come forward and a number of other people, and we're going to hear about the life of Joseph. Yes.
Come up here and stand with us too. Okay. I really want to do this to honour Joe, everyone. So I'll do the best I possibly can. I want to tell you all about an amazing man that I chose to be my life partner, Joseph Rizza. It will be hard, but I'm intensely proud of him. We got together when I was not even 16 years of age, and he was 20. We married when I was 19, and he was 24. From that day, I protected him like a savage dog. Dare anyone say anything against him? Then they had better expect a battering. We were inseparable, sharing anything, everything, and supporting each other to the end, as we had promised. 2 years after our marriage, I gave birth to our first son, Anthony Joseph, known as Tone. 2 years later came Nicholas John, and 2 years later we completed our beautiful threesome with Justin Paul. Soon after, a big tragedy hit on January 26, 1983, when my beautiful husband was crushed in a dreadful head-on collision that caused 23 compound fractures in both his legs and feet, starting at the knees and below, trapping him in the high-ace van for 2.5 hours, also damaging his spine at 3 levels. His life lay in the balance, and he very nearly died. During his hospital stay, while still on life support, a very stupid priest shouted at him and gave him penance of 2 weeks Hail Marys because he was too unwell to be pushed to the chapel to go to Mass. I arrived at the hospital to find him in tears. From that day forward, he had no time for the Catholic Church, and especially with the ongoing disgrace. At this stage, at the young age of 28, I was taken aside and told that both his legs may have to be amputated. Thank goodness this didn't eventuate. This man of mine, just like his dear old Mama Melina, was one tough cookie built of stone. No, no, no. No one can knock this tough bugger off his perch. After the accident, Joe got a further 38 years, 23, which were full life years. In those latter years, although one knee had been operated on 3 extra times and replaced, and he was facing another replacement on the second knee sometime soon, after he climbed 999 steps. That's right, 999 steps to the top of Mount Tianshan, Zhangjiajie, China, home of the Avatar movie. He was multi-skilled, rarely ever calling a serviceman. He passed on many of those skills to our sons, making their lives easier. He also taught them honesty and integrity. Oh my gosh, he loved those sons, Tone, Nick and Juz, and grandsons, Julian, Lucas and Leo, the lion. He was so looking forward to Tone and Penn's babe coming in late November. He and I couldn't remove the grins off our faces when we learned of this pregnancy. Oh, what a man. During the past 20 or so years, we travelled around the world, including returning to his motherland, Italy, twice. 90% of this was done using my itineraries. Joe proudly told people he trusted me implicitly to take him around foreign lands. We often visited Malaysia and Bali, but one of our greatest loves was wandering off freely into the jungles of Borneo, Thailand, Vietnam, with no other human beings around us. Off we would go with a lunch pack, plenty of water, and Joe's Canon camera and that whopping big lens, and I often helped him carry. We would get our taxi driver to drop us at the edge of the jungle entrance, and off we would go for 5-hour adventures. Oh my God, we were as game as Ned Kelly. I remember sensing ourselves being tracked, only to turn around to find a monkey that would scamper off behind us. Can you imagine? Enormous round leaves, the likes you couldn't imagine, fluttering down from enormous trees to the ground. Excuse me for a sec. And the smell of the beautiful jungle, just the fresh air is unbelievable out there. High from the jungle trees, high above our heads, in the paradise of Mother Earth, us slowly trying not to crunch and alert the wildlife in our presence. This was our love, our life, our dream. What could be better? 5 or 6 hours quietly crunching through the jungle and exploring massive cave networks, of which we did many, especially in China. With practically no language skill, we explored 23 provinces in China. It became our favourite. I wrote an itinerary book about that entitled, Now Anyone Can Explore China. Joe took the beautiful pictures and it was edited by our special friend here today, who has kindly done the photo display, Jenny Borks, where Jenny over there, assisted by her husband, another amazing man, Graham Borks, a marvellous man. Joe and I knew Vietnam like the back of our hand. We visited Cambodia, Laos, Malaysia, Penang Island and Bali. In northern Thailand, we picked our way across the dusty road between Mae Hong Son, Pai and Chiang Mai. Finding ourselves on a bus stopped and boarded by police armed with machine guns requesting ID from the locals. Laugh out loud. It didn't faze us. They boarded the bus, stomped their feet loudly and demanded documents from all but us Westerners on board. Imagine, with machine guns. In Burma, we were again held up by machine gun armed police officers who boarded our bus in the middle of the night and arrested our driver. This saga lasted 6 hours, and the hostess beckoned us to be quiet and say nothing. Oddly, we were not frightened, and eventually another bus arrived. We were transferred to Edmund, thankfully, eventually sent on our way. Yet another story to tell was finding we were on one of the world's most dangerous roads in China, where a landslide had taken half of the cliff face on one side and the cliff side on the other side. To us, it was just another exciting laugh. One side and we would have gone, one slide and we would have gone and no one would have known where. There was Joe, hanging his camera out the tiny country bus window, shooting